Welcome back, family. LANCESCURV here, the Scurv podcast. This is a topic that I'm going to go in with surgical precision, my favorite term, because there will be a tendency for women to misunderstand who I'm aiming this particular dialogue to. Okay? I'm going to say it in a nutshell. What I describe here in this video is about the woman who was basically promiscuous in her 20s, and now she's mid-30s and wants to settle down. This is not about the good women out here who may have had a little fun here and there, but nothing to the point where she got a reputation. I'm speaking about the type of woman who was out there and all types of men, and she didn't pay any mind to that guy that she felt was below her, who may not have had lots of money, lots of flash, or was interesting, but was very stable. If you're in a rush, pretty much that's the summary of this video. But of course, I'm going to go in on it. It won't be long, but it won't be short either. But I don't want it to seem as though I'm bashing all women or putting all women in that category. You know the high level of respect I have for some of you and many of you. But because I have that high level of respect, it forces me to speak about those who don't carry themselves like you, who I highly respect. And we have to talk about it. And the purpose is to open the eyes of men, the good men, who now get approached by these types of women who want to settle down, and why, out of nowhere. It's like, wait a second, you didn't pay me any mind when you were running with these different guys who had the money and the flash. Why now? Well, that's why I'm speaking on this topic. So I'm very careful with how I speak about our ladies, about our sisters, about our women, because I don't want you to think that I'm holding some type of venom, because the sanctity of womanhood means a lot to me and I honor it. But there are some women who don't honor it. And I have to expose these types that will act a certain way as though they've turned it around and want to settle down with a good man. Just like I'll speak about the guys who will play and they're not serious and they just want to use the women on different levels. Well, this one is about that type and the mentality that goes into it. I broke it down in a little detail. I jotted this down when I was on my way home. I went down into the city, went down into Accra today, briefly. And there was a little delay in traffic coming back. So that's why I let my thoughts flow. Because I personally know two situations that would warrant this type of advice, perspective. Not that I know everything, but it will enlighten our brothers to not make any poor choices. There are truths that sound harsh only because they arrive too late. This is one of them. Many men step into commitment believing they are witnessing growth, maturity, and emotional clarity. They believe the woman across from them has finally arrived at a place she always needed to be. What they fail to recognize is that timing alone can create the illusion of change. A woman can sound sincere, calm, and ready, while still being driven by pressure instead of desire. Circumstances can force a shift in priorities without any real transformation of the heart. Let me say that again. Circumstances can force a shift in priorities without any real transformation of the heart. This distinction is critical because a relationship built on urgency does not rest on the same foundation as one built on genuine attraction and long-term vision. Again, this is not about attacking women or dismissing relationships. It's about understanding patterns. Patterns repeat because they are rooted in human behavior, biology, and psychology. Ignoring them does not make them disappear. It only makes their consequences more expensive. Men are rarely warned about this stage of dating. They are encouraged to feel grateful, chosen, and lucky. What they are not encouraged to do is examine why the timing suddenly works now when it never did before. This dialogue, this monologue exists to slow that moment down, to replace emotion with clarity, to give men language for feelings they sense but cannot name. For many years, commitment was optional. Dating was fluid. Time felt generous. The belief that everything could be delayed without cost felt comforting. Exploration was encouraged, and restraint was mocked. Stability was something to think about later. But later always arrives. The shift often begins quietly. Invitations stop coming. Attention fades. The social circle changes. The nights grow quieter. What once felt empowering begins to feel empty. The excitement that carried past choices no longer delivers the same emotional return. When commitment suddenly becomes urgent, many men assume it is the result of self-reflection and growth. Sometimes it is. Often, it is simply a response to shrinking options. The desire for structure appears not because love has matured, but because instability has lost its appeal. This is why timing matters more than words. Real change does not arrive with pressure. It arrives with peace. No amount of confidence, ambition, or optimism overrides biological reality. Fertility does not decline slowly forever. At a certain point, it drops sharply. Risks increase. Options narrow. This is not a theory. It is documented reality. Many women understand this intellectually long before they feel it emotionally. The emotional impact arrives later, and when it does, it brings urgency. Panic does not announce itself loudly. It disguises itself as clarity. This urgency shows up as conversations about timelines, labels, and commitments that feel rushed. The push is not rooted in bonding. It is rooted in fear of running out of time. The man across the table becomes less of a partner and more of a solution. Understanding this does not make a man cold. It makes him informed. In earlier years, attention was plentiful. Options felt endless. Validation came easily. Dating felt like browsing rather than choosing. Men who excited her did not need to commit because they did not have to. Those men aged too. They built resources. They gained leverage. And when they reached that stage, they chose differently. What remains is a quieter field, fewer invitations, more practical offers. The energy changes from excitement to evaluation. This is where many men step in without realizing the shift that has occurred. They are not being chosen because they are desired. They are being considered because they are available and stable. Scarcity changes behavior. It does not automatically create love. Stability is not a flaw. It is valuable. But when stability becomes the primary attraction, the relationship dynamic shifts. A man becomes the answer to anxiety instead of the object of desire. His reliability becomes insurance. His patience becomes a safety net. His resources become protection against fear. This creates an imbalance that never fully corrects itself. One person is grateful to be saved. The other wonders why they feel unseen. Listen closely to the conversations. Are they about connection or about logistics? Are they about shared values or about structure and security? Pressure is not romance. It is urgency looking for relief. At this stage, many men mistake evaluation for affection. They believe interest means desire. In reality, they are being assessed. Their income, habits, routines, and tolerance levels are measured. Questions are asked, not to understand them, but to calculate risk. This is not seduction. It is due diligence. The goal is not intimacy. The goal is certainty. When a man senses this, but ignores it, he trades intuition for approval. That trade always costs more later. Years of short-term relationships train the mind to compare rather than bond. Each connection becomes temporary. Each challenge becomes an exit signal. The brain adapts to novelty instead of depth. Over time, this creates a constant state of dissatisfaction. Even when a stable partner is present, the mind searches for what could be better. Past partners are remembered selectively, stripped of flaws, and idealized. This comparison does not stop after commitment. It continues quietly. No amount of effort from a partner can erase a decade of mental conditioning. You cannot outwork a pattern that was rehearsed for many, many years. Resentment does not arrive with shouting. It arrives with silence, with criticism disguised as honesty, with affection that feels forced. The person who settles often resents the life they ended up with, even if it is stable and comfortable. The partner becomes a reminder of compromise rather than a source of joy. This resentment poisons connection slowly. It creates emotional distance that cannot be explained but is always felt. No one wins in a relationship where one person feels rescued instead of chosen. Sudden, intense interest rarely appears without a reason. When attraction explodes overnight, it is rarely because the man changed, it is because circumstances did. Urgency without patience is not passion. It is pressure. Real connection unfolds naturally. Panic accelerates everything. When new behaviors arrive with no history behind them, they should be examined carefully. Consistency reveals character. Performance reveals fear. Defensiveness around the past is not privacy. It is avoidance. A person with nothing to hide does not panic when asked to be understood. Finally, when a man receives a guarded, restricted version of a partner while others received enthusiasm and freedom, the imbalance will never disappear. It will only deepen. Real transformation is slow. It's calm. It takes responsibility without excuses. It does not rush timelines. It does not pressure commitment. It does not hide history. A person who is truly changed does not fear scrutiny. They welcome it. If urgency, defensiveness, and inconsistency dominate the relationship, the change is strategic, not emotional. Every man eventually faces a decision. Believe the performance, walk away, or choose a different path entirely. None are easy, but pretending is the most dangerous option. Love is emotional. Biology and psychology are structural. Ignoring structure does not create romance. It creates collapse. A relationship built on fear may survive for a while, but it will never feel peaceful. This is not about avoiding connection. It is about choosing it wisely. You deserve to be desired, not selected by default. You deserve enthusiasm, not relief. You deserve real partnership, not obligation. Do not confuse urgency with love. Do not sacrifice your future to rescue someone from theirs. Because when the performance ends, the contract remains. And the cost is always paid by the one who ignored the patterns. Now, many of you will understand what I was saying, and maybe it goes over your head. I believe in relationships. I believe in love. Or rather, I'll say I know in relationships, not just belief. And I know in this thing called love. But you don't have to be the man who gets the last plate of food that's not even full enough because everybody feasted at the banquet. Now the banquet and the party is over, and you get a little bit on your plate, probably 1/3 of what it's supposed to be, and expected to be grateful for that. I'm trying to keep it decent, but the bottom line is that there are women out here who you may have desired, who you may have thought would appreciate the fact that you're hardworking, stable, loyal, romantic, and one who wants to build. And you have certain women, and again, like I said in the beginning of this particular monologue, that I'm not speaking about all women. There are many good women out here. But there are many women out here who masquerade as a good woman. Not to say she's evil, but those types want to jump the line and erase their past and present themselves and repackage themselves as a prize that now you're to desire, because now their biological clock is running out and their options are diminishing. They realize that their beauty is fading. And before it fades out completely, now they want to go down the list to those they ignored. I used to joke with some friends of mine, and I would make fun of them, not in a venomous way, but in a different kind of way, where in our early 20s, they may have been trying to get a date, and they dated several women, and those women knew this. They didn't know each other, but they knew that they spent time dating, and dating did not mean the four-letter word. It did not mean sex. They spent time with them. Now, some they may have been more intimate with. But when I would see one of them on a particular night that they may have wanted to go out with someone, and now it's 11, 12 o'clock, midnight, they're still calling on the phone to see who may be available. I would joke with them and say, you're probably going to end up calling that 4 o'clock in the morning woman. And the later it is, the more it's pretty much one thing in mind. What I meant is that when they were calling from 7 and 8 to their first choice, which may not have been sexual, but they really wanted to go out with this particular woman, and she wasn't available. So now you call the 9 o'clock woman, the 10 o'clock woman, the 11 o'clock woman, and them being desired to be a mate or someone you're really interested in diminishes. And the later it gets, it all becomes a thing of just needing a release. I'm not saying at that age and at that level of immaturity that it's okay, but that's just what it was. And it seems like these particular types of women that ran around when they were younger, I'm not going to throw in the fact that they may have had several children, which would have shut them down anyway, but I've seen women and heard women who pretty much, and let's get adult, open their legs for any and every Tom, Dick, and Harry. The amount of children that many of them had that amount of fathers, or as they say in the hood, baby daddies. 4 children, 4 baby daddies in their earlier years. And now you hit your 20s, or actually 30s, and you say to yourself and project it out to the world, I am so ready to find a good man, someone to settle down with and get married to. Well, who in the hell is gonna settle down with you when you've been running around with everybody? Who would want that? I'm sorry if you get angry. Now, circumstances are different for different types of women. I'm telling you again, I'm not talking about the woman who kept herself, or in this last example, the woman who may have been with her husband and had several children, and maybe he's deceased and something took him away from this earth. So when you see her with her children, it doesn't mean that she was partying. See, in that situation, I give you a pass. And after a time, you may want to get remarried. And I applaud that, because that's what you went for in the beginning. And that's all you know. And that's the desired state for the way you lived. And I take my hat off to you, and I'm sorry for your loss. I'm not speaking about that type of woman, okay? And it doesn't mean you had to be perfect, but I'm speaking about those women who partied. And I don't mean just go to the club and dance. I mean you partied. And you know many men, and many men know you. And if you happen to be in that particular age group or much younger, take a note of this. Those men who you are allowing entry into your body like it's a sport, like Sister Hope says, your sport F-U-C-K-ing. I'm not gonna say the word. You know, YouTube is watching me like a hawk. You know, YouTube is watching me like those dope dealers on the corner, and you have a detective car pulled around the corner with the dark tinted windows and the funny antennas, and they're just sitting there, just recording and watching. So I gotta be careful how I use my speech. Shout out to Sister Hope, a wonderful sister. But anyway, take note of that. Because after those men have fun with you, and you think they're into you, and you know you're into other men and dealing with other men, there's something about them that when they get older, they're not choosing you. So you might call them when you're ready to settle down, and they may have made more of themselves in the world. But now you don't fit in that picture. They're not considering you. And that's a real sorry state of affairs. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all situation. You know, we have young ladies who have emotional issues, and they're promiscuous not because they want to be, but there are different issues out here. I feel sorry for any woman who gets to that point, but I don't feel sorry for that woman who gets to that point who threw caution to the wind and now wants to find that guy who she knows that she can manipulate because she wants protection from the consequences of how she lived before. And remember, biology is the ultimate record keeper. It's the ultimate equalizer. You're not always going to look the way you do. You're not always going to have a womb that's ready to have children. And there won't always be a man there to do that. And let me tell you something. I've met women who have approached me on that level. They said, Lance, there was a we situation, 3 different situations with 3 different lesbian couples that wanted to have a child. That's a whole different story. Like I said, I've been through a lot. But I've been approached several times about that because in the past, the way I've taken care of myself, my genetics, or what they see in me, they figure, well, this is a good candidate. And no, I didn't do it. Some men would have jumped to do it because of the physical release, but then that could have been a disaster. But there are women who will get desperate and just want to have a baby like, now I'm not going to say by anybody, but their level of, how can I put it? Their standard drops so low that any old person can get in. Like I said, when you have a multiplex movie theater and the last movies are playing, and you have 8 different movie theaters in this multiplex, and 7 of them have let out or in the process of letting out, and there's that one movie that's going to go on for another 45 minutes, and the person guarding the door doesn't even care because it's the end of the night. You can go in there and watch the end of the movie. You're not seeing the whole thing for free, but go ahead, I don't care, it's the end of the day. Standards drop. Time can sneak up on you really fast. Don't think it's gonna last forever. I mean, youth can be very intoxicating. And the circumstances around your youth when you're so-called having fun, even if it's irresponsible and a waste of time, that uninhibited, carefree, carnal euphoria can seem like it's gonna last forever. But it doesn't. I would say, and many would agree, and this is not to put the man over the woman, but more men out here can live like that in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s, and start a family in their 50s. I'm not advocating for that. Because what woman wants a man whore? Right? Broken down. A hospice wife who those men go to take care of them when their knees ache, their joints are hurting, and possibly they need their blue pills and they can't perform anymore. So now they say it's time to wrap it up and find a good woman. That's another video. And I did one like that, but it was taken down off the old channel, so I'm gonna have to do that again soon. So I will get up in somebody's backside no matter who it is and no matter what the circumstances. Truth is truth. But right now, we're talking about that woman who wants to erase, which you can't do, erase the memory of all of that wasted time and settle down with a man who she's not really into because she loves him, but it's convenient now to have the security of someone who's there so that as she gets older, She has a placeholder that guarantees that she won't be that single older woman who basically nobody's interested in because she piddled away her youth and youthful times with frivolous entanglements, frivolous affairs, leapfrogging from one, I can't even say relationship, but from one situationship to the other. Don't you realize the gas in your tank is going down lower? Don't you realize your battery may look just as good as the day you bought it, but now it has less power because you've been burning it down? Women, a righteous woman, is the backbone of it all. Family, community, whole societies. She will replicate you into the future. She's a nurturer and a teacher, and that one who holds the home together. You see strong children, you know there's a strong mother. But when the woman is reduced, even when she tries to lodge herself and connect and merge with a good man, a lot of the time is wasted. It takes a certain type of momentum, time. It's just not made to order. And again, there are many so-called modern women who have not run around crazy, but they base their whole existence on a career. And this is something different than what I'm speaking about. But the results are the same. You turned your back on many good men because they may not have made as much money as you did. Or you focused on your career, and now you have your home and your car and your good credit, and you can travel the world, but you're doing so alone, and it doesn't feel good. And you realize that if you did things a little different, you can have all that you've acquired. But wouldn't it be better to have someone to look back and say, remember back when? And you can look at pictures of yourself when you were much younger, children that you had together. They're grown now, and they're doing well in society. And you feel so proud of that between the both of you. What a wonderful feeling. I just want to give a shout out to brother Barry B, Barry Biz, and his dear wife, Crystal. They exemplify the right way to do it. And I want them to hear this. There are many others that I know, but really and truly, there should be more. There should be much more. But with examples like the aforementioned individuals that I mentioned, they will shine the light out, and their children will see what real love is. Grandchildren will see what real love is, and it'll create a righteous momentum into the psyches of the youngsters that this filth that's pushed on social media is not the way to go. It's engineered and designed to break down the family, to break down society, to have us to be a bunch of non-thinking, useless imps who all we can do is have a smartphone making us dumb, scrolling on short-form video that damages the brain. You wake up in the middle of the night, and you have to answer a call to nature really bad. Either way, number one or number two, not to get so lewd. And before you step out of the bed, you only probably have 3.2 seconds to get to that toilet, but you're reaching for your phone as though you're missing something in the middle of the night. When you have to go and use the bathroom, that phone is more important to you because you'd rather sit on the toilet with your phone than just go to the bathroom, come back and go to bed and wake up and deal with that later on. And this is normalized now. How sick. Our brains are hijacked. Many of us, if our spouse left us, it wouldn't hurt as bad as when you lose your phone. Your phone is more important to you than the person you made a commitment to. But it seems like when you sign the contract to purchase that phone and the service it provides, that's more of a marriage to you than the flesh and blood individual that you're supposed to love and cherish through sickness and through health. What's going on with us, people? And for those women that partied their early lives away, and now they want to find a man that they never paid any mind to. Brothers, it's not a catch, because she's not into you anyway. And like I said earlier, you're just merely a placeholder. Life moves by quickly. Yeah, you can get a second chance. But if you keep on leapfrogging from situation to situation, you'll look around, in the age that you are, there'll really be no options. Very little. Because face it, the longer we live is the more we catch scars. It doesn't mean we can't relate and be in a good relationship. But it's almost like shopping the day after Christmas. Everything is picked over. You got some returns that you might be looking to buy that somebody else tried out already. Ladies in the lingerie section looking for some sexy panties to wear for her man that night. They might be returns. But you better check to see if there's any kind of DNA in the crotch of those panties, because somebody else might have had them on the night before. Disgusting, right? But what's more disgusting is the history of a woman that you don't even know what it is, and you laying up next to her figuring you got a prize. Well, if it's a prize, how come so many men sampled this prize? Something to think about. But most often we don't. We don't think about these things. We just take things on face value. We just take a person's word for it. This is why it's better. You know, you're a teenager, you do little things, whatever have you, but the earlier you get serious, the better. It doesn't always work out that way, I understand that. But when you have that in your heart, even when you get a little older, it can still work. Because a real man knows a real woman, and a real woman knows a real man. When you live a certain way, you can see who's trying to fool you. And you have some really deceptive people out here who are real good at lying to you. But if you live right, you'll pick up on it. So, I will speak about the men who come toward the ladies with their deceptions. But this was a special subject today because this type of woman is only looking for someone to round out her life so she doesn't have to face the consequences of being so promiscuous. And you're settling for less so she can shine and appear to be a certain way in this world as an upright, pristine woman, when her foundation was not that. No matter how many birth control pills she took, no matter how many abortions she had, you're not getting what you deserve when you are a good man. So please don't come into the comments section and say, well, what about the men out here? We're going to talk about that. Trust me. Trust me. You know I'm not afraid to talk about anything. I'm like that great baseball player who's at home plate and at bat, and no matter what kind of ball the pitcher throws, I will knock it out of the fence, knock it over the fence. Curveball, knuckleball, fastball, whatever. I will freestyle it and get right to the point. I'll jot down some notes to make sure certain points get put in there so I don't later on say, oh man, I forgot to say this, and oh man, I forgot to say that. No, I'm going to do that. But this stuff is stuff that I've seen for years in my life. I've had many attempts with women that tried to get me that way. Oh, Lance seems to be a nice guy that I can parade around with and settle down with because I was such a fast one when I was younger. Not to say that I was the epitome of, you know what I'm talking about. It may seem unfair, but in this world, a man is forgiven more so. A fast woman, when she was younger, it doesn't wear right. No matter how much she tries to change her persona, the perception of who she is, you'll be greeted in a decent way as you get older. But after you pass in those streets, they'll be whispering about who you really are. And that's sad, but true. But brothers, understand that there are many like that who are deceptive. And again, I'll say it, it's not all women. There are many good women out here. But don't fall for the deception. There's a lot out here that you have to weed through and to be smart. Especially when you've taken the time to live clean, to build yourself up, and to remain stable. That's not rare, but in a sense it could be, depending on who you travel with. But they are out here. But you've been overlooked by the party girl who now wants to settle down. Don't settle for less. I'd like to know what you think about this, and please, ladies, like I said, understand this is not bashing all women. I'm speaking about that type. But how do they say it? The hit dog always hollers. The hit dog that's the one that's guilty. That's the one that hollers. I'm not calling you a dog. I'm just trying to remember that phrase. But it's a hard lesson when you get older and you realize that you may have missed a good thing because you thought those crazy, so-called fun, promiscuous years would last forever, but it doesn't. And there are many older women who would be grateful to just have a little companionship, to be treated like a lady. And even though those guys who were with you treated you outwardly with some decency, you never figured that you were just a sperm receptacle. Someone who They wanted to, oh, I'm not going to say it. That would be too harsh. You know, I got my little terms and stuff, but I don't want to say it that harsh. Even those types of women don't deserve to be talked to like that. I got some things in my vocabulary, boy. I'm telling you. But hell, I'll say it. All they had in their mind for you was to siphon their crotch sauce, to burp their babies. And we ain't talking about holding the baby up on the shoulder and patting it on the back after it had a bottle or a breast. It's a hell of a thing to realize that you've been used and that those same men don't hold you in that high regard when they're looking for a good woman because they've labeled you a certain thing and you didn't realize it. You thought it brought brownie points for you in the future. I can always call up this one. I can always call up that one. We had a good time. I know he loves the way I make him feel. Oh, he can't find anybody to perform that act like me. And let me tell you, sex is important. Men need it for sure. But as you get older, that slides down on the list of important things. Do you think that you can talk to an elderly man who knows he's on his deathbed and knows he doesn't have as much time? And if you were to ask him, what could he have done different in his life? Now, he might be 2 or 3 days away from taking his last breath. And never have I heard anyone say, well, you know, I just wish I had more freaky sex. Let me tell you something. You can use machines, you can use pills, you can take hormones. After a time, it's something you're not desiring crazy like when you were 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. It's not. Nature has a way of making you not even realize that. If you accept this naturally. But most men are struggling even with that. They're getting up in age. And if you take good care of yourself, yes, you'll still have a certain libido. But if you think you're going to have that little piece of meat hanging down between your legs and it's going to be as stiff as it was in your 20s. And we have some guys in their 20s now who are depending on the blue pills because everybody wants to be Superman. Everybody wants to be the human tripod. Every man wants to be so aroused and so erect that if you call his name and he's in the aisle of the supermarket, if he turns around real fast, he'll knock everything off of the shelf. Most of these men rate their desirability according to that. I want to be that old guy who's so bad in the art of conversation that it captivates people. I'm not just saying women, that I can draw from my experiences in life and weave the stories together that I've been through in such a way that it sits you down. And you could have Netflix over on the other side on, but you're not watching it. You're listening to me. And that's not an ego thing. This is why I realize that I've been through so much, coupled with the fact that I like to express myself. And the things that I've been through, many people can learn from. I'll say this one again. At one point in my life, I thought my life, not that I considered it rags, but look at it this way. I thought of it as different rags, mismatched rags and our job here and our job there. This hobby that never went anywhere, this indulgence that never went anywhere. And it's like, man, I have no uniform trajectory towards some type of career. But then I realized I can sew all of those non-related pieces of material together to make a beautiful quilt. And that's why I'm happy with all of the unrelated experiences that I had that has given me tremendous insight. And because of that, and me realizing that, I'm gathering more rags. But they don't look as though they're useless. Now I know the purpose of them. To continue sewing into that beautiful quilt that makes people gasp when they see it. And that's a beautiful thing. And it leaves me very fulfilled at this junction point in my life. And I'm thankful for being preserved, because I've had probably a lot of close calls that I wasn't aware of. I mean, we hear of mishaps happening every day to people. When you see a car accident that's fatal to someone, when they got up that morning, they were pretty much brushing their teeth and washing and planning for a beautiful day, planning for the next weekend coming. Probably had their year planned out, not knowing that when they left their apartment or left their house, they would never see it again. See, I'm aware of these things, and this is why I'm thankful for every moment that I have. And even though I'm tucked away in the mountains of West Africa in a place called Ghana, I appreciate all of it. And this is why even in my life of solitude, in my sanctuary, I could never be bored, because I can draw from those experiences and move in the present and have a very satisfying life in a place that is so much slower, but it gives me time to think. And now, for me, these are some of the best times of my life. But I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you once again for being here. Again, this was insight for that good man who should not settle for a woman who's using him as a placeholder and a guarantee not to face the consequences that her earlier promiscuous years almost guarantees. Not to hate on anybody, but to help a man not to shortchange himself. That being said, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I want to go and zero in more on this type of content. I want the quality. I'm not just looking for hits. I'm not just looking for to be out there for the masses. Whoever likes this and whoever can use this, you share it, you enjoy it. But in actuality, I want to keep it tight this go round. And it's beautiful this way. And one thing I enjoy before I go, when I see the chat room and our family in the chat room, everybody getting together and greeting each other. You may not know each other, but you know each other from being here. Maybe you do. Maybe you don't. But you understand the feel of those who come here to the Scurv podcast as family. It's just a beautiful thing, and it makes me feel good. And I'll never let you down. Anyway, I'm going to get this out. I'm going to have a deep sleep. I'm gonna dream deep, and I'm gonna wake up to another download that I can share, and I'll jot down some good notes. And after I have my breakfast, I'll be back to produce something that can make us think. But take care. Thanks for coming through. LANCESCURV out. On to the next one. I love you all. Peace.